Thor was very talented at slaying giants. Many of his stories revolve around violent episodes between him and his enemies. In order to perform his duties, Thor had a hammer, Mjolnir, a deadly weapon also associated with lightning and thunder, built by the dwarfs. He also had iron gloves and a belt named Meggingjard, that doubled Thor's strength once buckled on. There were also some other less destructive aspects of Thor. As a weather god, he was associated with the fertility of the earth. He was also regarded as a guide for those traveling over the sea, because of his power over storms and wind. Thor had a chariot to travel across the sky, which was drawn by two giant goats, Tangnjost and Tangrisnir. These powerful animals had a very convenient magical property. They could be killed and eaten at any time, and as long as their bones were undamaged and returned into their skins, they would regenerate overnight, and the following day would be alive, just like new.
This is a saga of Kisly Zhuzun, a known individual from the Westfjord area. During his last night, Kisly went to his hiding place, accompanied by his wife and his foster daughter. But the women's long overcoats left a trail and the hour frost on the ground. Sometime later they heard voices, for Eyjolf the Grey and his men had followed the trail. Kisly challenged them, saying that he would not run away. The cowardly Eyjolf pushed Helgi the spy forward and Kisly killed him. Eyjolf then tried to climb up the cliff in a different place, but Auður struck his arm with a club which caused him to fall down again, unable to fight further. Kisly remarked, "I had known for a long time that I had a good wife, but not this good." Kisly moved to the top of a large rock to defend himself. In the end, Eyjolf's men were able to cut his stomach open with their spears so his innards fell out. Kisly wrapped his shirt around his stomach and tied his girdle and then leapt down. As he landed, he hewed one of his enemies in two from the head to waist before ending his life. His badly wounded adversaries reported that the last stroke of his sword was no weaker than the first. All agreed that Kisly had been a brave man, though good luck had not always been his fate.
During the day, brownies are believed to hide in the house and at night do jobs for the family they have chosen to serve. The slightest attempt to reward them for their service will result in the brownie disappearing forever. The story goes that a villager by the name of Oshin saved the life of a brownie and was never asked for anything in return. Over time, the two became good friends. One day, whilst the brownie was away, Oshin died of a broken heart following the death of his wife. When the brownie returned and heard of his friend's death, he was so upset that he chiselled two rocks, a larger one in honour of his friend, which became known as the Old Man of Storr, and a smaller one for Oshin's wife.
A legend passed down through the generations tells the story of an enchanted island, invisible from the shore, called Clun Cum Loch. A passageway leading from a rock to the island was said to be open on May Day of each year. Those who had the courage to pass through the doorway would find themselves in a beautiful garden on the island inhabited by fairies. In Celtic lore, they are known as the Fair Folk. The fairies would play enchanting music, tell stories of future events, and present visitors with exquisite flowers and luxurious fruit. But each guest was told to take nothing from the island. But one May Day, a greedy visitor placed a flower he had been presented with in his pocket. When he emerged from the rock, the flower had vanished and he lost all of his senses. And since that day, the door to the island has never opened.
Crier of Clap. On stormy nights centuries ago, the ferrymen at Ferry Nab would often hear strange calls for the boat to come across the water, but were too afraid to go. One night, a young ferryman scoffed at their fears and rowed across. On his return, whatever he had seen had terrified him so much that he couldn't speak, and the next day he died. The local people asked a monk who lived on the island of Windermere to exorcise the ghost. On Christmas Day, he took a bell and Bible across the lake and confined the ghost to the quarry and woods, until men should walk dry-shod across the lake. To this day, there are stories of walkers being followed by a hooded figure at dusk on the heights of Clay.
Die Entstehung des Spreewaldes. Eine alte Sage berichtet, einst pflügte der Teufel die Spree. Er pflügte mit 2 schwarzen Ochsen und lautem Gebrüll. Das ging schwer. Die Ochsen kamen nicht so recht vom Fleck. Da nahm der Teufel seine Mütze und warf sie vor Wut nach den Ochsen. Die sprangen vor Schreck kreuz und quer. Darum ist die Spree heute so krumm und so stark verzweigt.
Wenn irgendwo, meist mit geistlichem Beistand, eine unerlöste Seele vertrieben werden sollte, wurde sie für weltewige Zeiten in eine abgeschiedene Gegend verbannt. Ein bevorzugter Verbannungsort für das Ötztal und seine Umgebung waren die Stübenfälle. So trug man seinerzeit den Geist Hans Bumm, gefangen in einer Flasche bzw. Dose, unter Trommelklang und Pfeifenspiel dorthin. Der Plumpergeist ging in einem Kittelärmel in die Falle und wurde darin hierher verbracht. Dabei war merkwürdig, dass mit dem Aussetzen der Musik auch der Geist nicht mehr weitergebracht werden konnte. Bei Nacht sahen ihrer glaubwürdigen Aussage 2 nahe dem Stubenfall wohnende Schwestern im Wasserstaube des tosenden und schäumenden Achbaches mehrere helle Lichtlein herumtanzen.
Die bleichen Berge. Im dahingesunkenen Reich der Dolomiten schwirrten einst die piepsenden Töne der Vogelsprache durcheinander. Und das Bild, das sich der Betrachtung seiner Bewohner bot, war von der Blumenvielfalt in den Wiesen, vom satten Grün der Wälder und vom kristallklaren Bergseen bestimmt. In dieser ihrer Welt herrschte das Glück bis zu dem Tag, an dem der Sohn des Königs eine Mondprinzessin heiratete. Die beiden liebten sich über alles, doch konnte der Prinz des gleißenden Mondlicht kaum seine Gemahlin den Anblick der grauen Felsen und dunklen Wälder überhaupt nicht ertragen. An ein gemeinsames Leben im Schloss war nicht zu denken, da er um sein Augenlicht bangte und sie vor Sehnsucht nach ihrer strahlend hellen Heimat fast verging und schließlich dorthin zurückkehrte. Eines Tages, als der Prinz wieder einmal allein im Walde umherirrte, traf er auf den König der Zwerge, der nach Siedlungsland für sein Volk Ausschau hielt. Nachdem er sich die traurige Geschichte angehört, versprach der Zwergkönig dem jungen Prinzgemahl im Austausch gegen die Erlebnis, sich mit seinem Volk in den Wäldern häuslich niederzulassen, die Berge des Reichs der Dolomiten im hellen Glanz erscheinen zu lassen. Der Bund wurde durch Anschlag besiegelt und in der darauf folgenden Nacht fing das Zwergvolk das Mondlicht Strahl für Strahl ein und überzog damit die Felsen. Mit der Rückkehr der Mondprinzessin kehrte auch das Glück wieder in das Reich der Dolomiten ein.
Zlatorog. Once upon a time, the Triglav Mountains were Zlatorog's kingdom, covered with meadows full of flowers. It was a home of white fairies and their white goats. They were all protected by a wild goat with golden horns, Zlatorog. Zlatorog's golden horns were the key to a hidden treasure under the mountain of Bogatin. If anyone should wound him, a mysterious flower, Triglavska ruža, would spring from his blood and cure him. All these secrets were known to a brave young hunter who lived in those days in Trinta Valley. Being insulted by the hurtful words of his beloved girl, who was enchanted with golden presents that a rich merchant from Venice had given her, he decided to find the Zlatorog's treasure. The Trinta hunter shot Zlatorog, but the wounded animal ate the mysterious flower and became well and strong again. In his rage, he pushed the hunter over the rocks. Before departing, Zlatorog devastated the grassy meadows with his golden horns and turned them into a rocky wasteland. The fairies and the white goats left our mountains, but traces of Zlatorog's horns are still seen in our mountains. Zlatorogove Police, a rocky path, still traverses the Triglav north face. Triglavska ruža still grows on the Triglav slopes, and Zlatorog's treasure is still hidden under the mountain of Bogatin.